Good night, good morning, afternoon, whatever point in space time that you happen to be coordinating with that have invited my digital self to. Thank you. Hope it's going well. All right, down to business. We, meaning I, keep getting asked very similar questions along the lines of how do you run weekly practice and what are some battle games for small weekly practices? So instead of answering them over and over again, I'm going to make a short video explaining what I think you need to run weekly practice, where to get them, how to raise the money, and what you can do with these. So, sourcing these materials on Amazon for $20, I can find 60 multicolored cones that are vaguely this in shape. Remember, anything can be a hat. Good day. And a roll of contrasting tape for around $10. So we're going to round that up to 35. So for $35, you get a 60 pack of these of different colors and tape. The tape is important because with a 60 pack, multicolored, if you add a stripe of tape, you have now doubled your variety of cones because you will have yellow and then you will have yellow stripes. Solids and stripes, almost like billiards. Moving on. How do we obtain this $35? In the past, what I've done is run what I call donation battles. That is where you may give $1 for 1 hit point. During the battle, it is a free-for-all situation. You do not take wounds, meaning if you are hit in the arm does not go away. However, you lose a hit point. If I give the realm $5, I can get hit 5 times before I am dead. Run this a few weeks, you'll have $35 in no time. So, we've got the monies, we've gotten the materials. What do we do with the materials? Let me make sure my recording is going. Nope, that's wrong. I'm very, very bad at this. There we are. Let me start the capture. I'm going to talk you all through it because, well, there we are. Now we should have a map popping up for Stack the Cones. Stack the Cones is a very simple game. You have 3 cones on each side, and then you have a spawn point. Your objective is stack all 3 cones. First team to do that wins. This can be played with at least 4 people, scaled up to as many as you want, honestly. I would say keep it between 2 and 3 cones so that it's easy to do and easy to run. Defenders cannot touch their own cones. And reset every time a point is scored. Play to a certain amount of points, preferably an odd number. Okay. Next game. Basic capture the flag. Here we have spawn points and we have flags. The flags are just the cone. You must have your flag to capture the flag. And if you want to change it up, cones can be heavy, meaning a player may only walk, or complicated, meaning nothing in the hands while the cone is held. I would never suggest using both of them. Always give them the option to either run or have a sidearm to defend themselves. Never take both away. That's frustrating when you have to drop all of your gear and walk the entire time. If you really want to be mean, go for it, but not something I normally suggest. Next game. Lock the box, or King of the Hill, if you will. A box is built around the center of the field. To control the box for a certain amount of time, I usually say 10 seconds, martial count. 2 spawn points, touch and go respawn. This can be scaled up and down. If you notice, I have objective. Less than 5 players. Guard 1 player capturing the box for 10 seconds to score a point. Once point is scored, reset round quickly and restart. Opposing team may contest and restart count by placing any part of their body into the box. Objective if you have more than 5 players. Same objective as above, except a bigger box, and 1/3 of the team is required to hold the objective. So if I have 6 players total, 3 players to each side, that's 1 player in the box. If I have 6 players on each team, that is 2 players in the box. Other team may contest by placing any part of their body in the box. This makes it very difficult to win, so it continues. I'd suggest 10-minute rounds. Next game. We're going to return to stack the cones. Something that's very important is that you can play the same game over and over again if you just add terrain to make it different. So in this next version of Stack the Cones, same spawn points, same cones. However, we've modified it. We've added solid walls, which we can make out of contrasting cone colors, so that we break the direct line of aggression from the spawn point to the capture point. This now creates a nice field here in the middle that has to be controlled, and one side has got to push past the other side to get to where they're going and then hold them off. So more strategy is required. Lock the box, same as before, but we've added walls, meaning this is now almost a bridge or corridor battle. So it's going to be easier for each side to defend one of their sides, and they're going to have to make a formation and decide exactly how to screen the box instead of just having all the way open. Now it's going to be harder once they begin counting. I would suggest upping the count to 15 seconds perhaps, so that it takes longer to capture the box, because now they have terrain to help them. Next. Making a capture the flag, not basic. Still basic rules apply, same as before. Nothing's changed on the flag and the spawn. However, we have added a bridge and the stipulation that the flag must cross the bridge to be captured. You cannot cross the flag through the water. It must be taken over the bridge. Doesn't matter which side you enter the bridge from. As long as the flag crosses the entire bridge, it is active. If the flag is dropped, it must be reactivated. We've also added, note the blue dots, to signify blue cones or some other contrasting color to your bridge for water rules. For water accessibility, I suggest knee walking or heel-toe shuffling, anything that will slow the fighter down and keep them from sprinting across. That is the main goal here, to make this accessible but slow, if you will. Next game. Lock the box again, but now we have 2 boxes. And no matter what, when there are 2 boxes, it should only require 1 player to lock each box. 1 player remains and stays to keep the box locked. Lock both of them. Simple as that. Very difficult to do because this box is in your enemy's territory if you are the red team, or the hollow team is what I should call, because we have hollow and filled spawn points. Now, you can change this up by forcing a team to have to lock their own box before they can lock the opposite, but that's a lot of rules for a marshal to remember and basic practice. So instead of changing that, why not simply add terrain again? Now there are 2 dedicated points that you may only pass through. There's a wall between the 2 boxes. It is possible to build defenses using players to guard the boxes after they capture one and then the other. In this situation, you're going to have each team sacrificing 1 player to lock their box while trying to use the rest of their team to push into the opposite side. People will say, but Techno, I don't have at least 4 to 6 to 10 people. And I say, okay, that's fine. Let's go over some games we can play with just 3 people. 2 people, that's you and your buddy sparring and doing drill work and fighting different styles and fighting left-handed and right-handed, because that's unfortunately the only thing you can do. However, this can look very organized and cool, especially if you're both in garb, and will attract attention if you do it in a public place, and eventually you'll gain more people and hopefully you'll have 3, and then you can move on to playing what I call the L of Hell, or the Tetris piece everyone hates. This game is a little complicated and it's mostly teamwork involved, but here's the gist of it. Your small team will start on the hollow star. Your big team will split itself onto the solid stars. All fighting takes place within the hallway. All walls are hard. The objective is for this team, the hollow team, to knock over both of these cones, or put them out of bounds would also be acceptable. Move them off the bridge. Once they move one of these cones off the bridge, that spawn point that corresponds to the cone is shut off. So, the purpose of this is that the small team is constantly fighting on two fronts while trying to decide exactly which way they would like to move forward and which way they would like to defend. Then once they have captured one of the points, they are then in a mini versus the few situation versus the hallway of the entire team rather than them split up. So it goes from split resources to consolidated resources, and exactly which is the easiest way for your team to do that, the big haul or the long haul. The other thing that you can play with just 3 people is 1 versus 2 in rounds of 5 with breaks in between, because unfortunately at 3 people you are then just drilling and practicing with each other and sparring mostly. Until you have 4 people, it's hard to have 2 teams. Hockey. At least what we call hockey. Someone brought this game to me, and I have simply put it down here. And we'll go through it. It's 3 to 8 players, I would suggest. You can do possibly 12, stretch it up, but you're going to make the field bigger. So what we have here are 2 spawns that are dedicated, and 2 goals. Each team designates a goalie. The goalie is the only person allowed to cross their own goal lines. So if I am the red star spawn up here in the top right corner, I may only cross my goal lines. These lines do not matter to me. Same for the purple goalie. Now, for all the other players, the colored lines are hard walls. To score, a player moves through the cone, off the edge of the world, and dying to score a point. Typically, there's no reset between points. The marshal will just keep score as the game progresses. Now, when the goalie dies, the goalie will step to this corner of the field. The goalie will spawn on a 5 count. I usually run this anywhere between 5 and 172 points. Is a pretty good game. Let's see, what do we miss there? The goalies, if you are pushed through the wall, you are dead. So the goalies may check you through the wall, and that may be their actual plan. But they may always swing through the wall and ignore them. I would also suggest doing maybe 10-minute rounds at maximum, and then do a water break and rebalance and change goalie perhaps as well. Now we're done filming that. So below this, there will be a link to all of these battles. That's in a Google Drive and all of these maps with instructions so that you can simply set these battles up. Feel free to leave any comments below. I will address them for rules discussions and clarification. I did not create all of these games. I created some of these games. I don't remember which ones, honestly, and which ones have just kind of embedded themselves into my brain. So I take no credit for any of these. The only credit I take is bringing them to you in this nice format for you to digest. So, 60 multicolored cones, tape on them, solids and stripes. You can build any sort of terrain and lines that you need. And there's a packet of battles below that you can modify as you want. Now, go away, hit people with sticks, and be safe.